This is the story of the hours and days after the fire, told from inside the council. Emails from the first 9 days paint a portrait of a local authority under siege, struggling to cope, unable to convince people it could help them. With hundreds of people left homeless, the council's relief operation was criticised as non-existent, the council as out of touch, a narrative the then leader Nick Paget-Brown could not change.
I've been here ever since the fire. It's the most tragic, awful event. I will answer any questions anybody has to an independent...
And emails from those advising him illustrate the huge gulf between the council and the very people they were charged with caring for.
There are language problems, lack of education and understanding how anything works. These are separate local communities who each have their own centre they have found their way to one way or the other, and we need to reach out to each of them to listen to what they need. Rather like gangs, they don't go into another territory, and we need to understand the makeup of the area. The communication is very poor from the centre to the individual refugees. You may think differently, but I can only report from what I see on the ground.
It's clear in the early days there were many offers of help, the embattled council, though, failing to act on them. Here, an offer of accommodation made on the day of the fire, still unanswered 4 days later.
Our offer still stands, but we have been unable to contact anybody who can coordinate the matter. We have not had any reply from RBKC.
And on the same day, Nick Paget-Brown receives this email from a colleague.
I've had numerous offers of accommodation via my other DLs in the borough, but they can't find any one central person who is collating this information.
The emails make clear that the council is trying to deal with an unprecedented crisis. But even clearer still is Mr. Paget-Brown's fury at the media coverage, a theme he returns to constantly.
The media distortion of what the council are doing is atrocious. Our efforts and reputation are being completely trashed. Yes, a complete media storm, but I suppose that's to be expected. And deal with extreme media misrepresentation of what is happening on the ground.
And after this interview with Jon Snow...
In a word, can you guarantee that the poorer people who are moved out of here will not be replaced by rich people being built new fancy flats to replace it?
John,
can you guarantee it?
I really think that's just an awful allegation.
He sent this email advising colleagues not to engage.
Thanks, Andy. My advice would be not to attend. They will want answers that we cannot provide and which are properly a matter for the public inquiry. Jon Snow made the awful comment about social cleansing and said to me on air that now the tower has gone, will we be building housing for rich people? Regards, Nick.
The pressure came not just from the media. On the 20th of June, Mr. Paget-Brown forwarded this to lawyers.
Go now, you and your kind. I hope you get burnt to death by your social tenants. You and your council deserve it.
It was, he wrote, one of many such messages he received. Eventually, an emergency task force was to be brought in to handle the disaster relief operation around Grenfell. By the end of the month, Nick Paget-Brown had stood down as leader. Now, that council response, alongside so many other individuals and organisations, are to be examined by the inquiry.
Well, Jackie is with me now. And Jackie, you've been poring over all of these emails all afternoon. What else have you unearthed?
These emails present an extraordinary picture of what was undoubtedly an extraordinary time. This is an unprecedented, unique disaster, and I think it's fair to say that many councils would have struggled to deal with it. But these emails chart the particular struggle Kensington and Chelsea had. One of the emails is titled, "Who is in charge?" This is an extraordinary detail from the emails. 2 days after the Queen visited Grenfell, the council was sent an email from the Royal Palace demanding an urgent report on the situation. They wanted that report the very, very next day. There was also significant concern about whether the tower should collapse, about safety should the tower collapse. Nick Paget-Brown speaks about the government panicking about its own national housing strategy. And I think it is worth repeating that whatever their failings, it was a really difficult period for some of the individuals at the councils because there are some pretty ugly, threatening emails in there too.